There are things about being a Christian that nobody warned me about. Things that don't make it into the Sunday morning message. Things that feel too uncomfortable to say out loud in church. And because nobody talked about them, a lot of believers quietly assume something was wrong with them when they experience these things personally. Today I want to be honest with you in a way that maybe not everyone has been. Because the Christian life is the most powerful, meaningful, and transformative life you can live, but it is also one of the most misunderstood. And when reality doesn't match the picture we were handed, faith can start to crack. So before that happens, or if it's already happening, here are the things nobody told me about being a Christian. Things I had to learn the hard way. Things I wish someone had said to me sooner. Following Jesus doesn't come with a warning label, but maybe it should. Not to scare anyone away, but to prepare them. Because prepared faith is strong faith, and the believers who stay the longest are usually the ones who were told the truth from the beginning. Point 1. Nobody told me that following God would cost me relationships. When you give your life to Christ and start to genuinely change, not everyone around you will celebrate that. Some people will pull away. Some will mock you. Some will feel convicted by your change and respond with distance or hostility. You might lose friends. You might feel tension in your family. Jesus warned us about this in Luke 12:51. He said he did not come to bring peace, but division. Not because God wants conflict, but because light and darkness cannot occupy the same space without friction. If your relationships have shifted since you started walking with God, that is not a sign something went wrong. That is often a sign something went right. God refines your circle as he refines your character. Trust the process even when it's painful. Point 2. Nobody told me that the enemy gets louder after you commit to God. A lot of new believers expect that surrendering to God will bring immediate peace and quiet. And sometimes it does, but often the opposite happens. The attacks get sharper, the temptations get more specific, the doubts feel heavier. And it feels deeply confusing because you just chose God. Why does it feel harder? Here's what nobody said. The enemy does not attack what is not a threat. 1 Peter 5:8 tells us he prowls like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. He intensifies his effort against people who are moving in the right direction. The attacks are not a sign of abandonment, they are a sign of assignment. Keep going. Point 3. Nobody told me that faith would sometimes feel like nothing. There will be seasons where prayer feels mechanical, where worship feels dry, where the Bible feels like words on a page, where you go through all the right motions and feel absolutely nothing in return. And if nobody prepared you for this, you will assume your faith is dying. But Hebrews 11:1 defines faith as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith was never designed to be a feeling. It is a choice made in the absence of feeling. The believers who grow the most are often the ones who kept showing up when nothing inside them wanted to. Dry seasons are not dead seasons. They are the training ground of mature faith. Point 4. Nobody told me that God's timeline would be nothing like mine. When you first start believing, it is easy to assume that faithfulness produces fast results. You pray, you obey, you wait, and nothing moves. Days turn to weeks, weeks to months, sometimes months to years, and the silence feels personal. But Isaiah 55:8 says, God's thoughts are not our thoughts, and his ways are not our ways. What looks like delay from where you're standing looks like preparation from where God is standing. He is not slow, he is thorough. He is not withholding, he is positioning. Abraham waited 25 years for the promise God gave him. Joseph waited 13 years between the dream and the throne. The wait is not wasted. It is part of the work. Point 5. Nobody told me that obedience would sometimes feel like loss. There will be moments when God asks you to walk away from something, a relationship, an opportunity, a habit, a version of yourself, and it will feel like grief, not victory. You will wonder why doing the right thing feels so heavy, why surrendering to God sometimes feels like losing something rather than gaining it. But Matthew 16:25 says, Whoever loses their life for God's sake will find it. What feels like loss in the moment is actually exchange. You are not losing. You are trading something temporary for something eternal. You are releasing something small so God can build something significant. Every act of obedience that costs you something is an investment, and God never wastes a sacrifice made in his name. Following God will cost you some relationships, but refine the right ones. The enemy gets louder when you're moving forward, but that means you're a threat. Faith will feel like nothing sometimes, but feelings were never the foundation. God's timeline is slower than yours, but it is never wrong. And obedience sometimes feels like loss, but it is always exchange. Nobody told me these things, but now you know. And knowing the truth about the Christian life doesn't weaken your faith. It builds the kind of faith that actually lasts. If this message said something you needed to hear, share it with a believer who might be struggling right now. Comment below, "I choose faith over feelings," as a declaration. And subscribe for more messages that tell you the truth and help you stay the course. John 16:33 says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." Jesus never promised an easy road. He promised a present companion on every hard one. You are not failing. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You are being formed, and everything it is costing you is producing something in you that cannot be built any other way.